Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Windy City Nitty Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Walter Hefner, and on this episode today, I want to talk about a Netflix documentary called The Toys That Made Us. Now, some of you are maybe toy collectors, or if you're like me, sometimes you think about certain toys you grew up on back in the day. Or if you're out shopping with your kids or your nieces and nephews and you happen to go into the toy section, it just takes you down memory lane, or you see some of the toys that they're playing with now that you played with back when you were their age. And just want to say that this Netflix documentary, The Toys That Made Us, is a great series that anybody of any age can get into, whether adults or children. Now, this show debuted on Netflix back on December 22nd of 2017, and it just recently completed its third season. Now, the series focuses on the history of important toy lines. So, with these 3 seasons, they had 4 episodes to each season. So, with season 1, they talked about Star Wars, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Barbie, and G.I. Joe. With the second season, they talked about Lego, as well as Star Trek toy line, Hello Kitty, and my personal favorite, which I would say is one of the greatest toys of all time, as well as my favorite cartoon of all time, Transformers. And just recently, this past season, which debuted in December of 2019, Season 3, they talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, My Little Pony, and the various pro wrestling action figures that came from WWE, as well as World Championship Wrestling, WCW, and Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. So, great documentary series, talking about toy lines. And, I do have to say, when you watch certain episodes, it just takes you back to your childhood and has you reminiscing, and thinking about some of the toys you grew up with, and as well as, just makes you think back and miss those days when you could just go into Toys R Us and grab whatever toy you want to get your hands on, so... Great series, and I'm hoping they do a season 4 because, there's other different toy lines out there to talk about. There's still various different toys, for them to do a history on. So, just thinking back on some of the other toys I grew up on that they haven't talked about yet, or the toys that, I saw growing up going through Toys R Us, or even now going throughout Walmart and Target, just wanted to take my own little guess at what season 4 could bring. I'm hoping they do a season 4 because, like I said, there's still other toy lines out there to be talked about and discussed. So here's my 4 episodes that I think they may do for season 4. Who knows? But, just my opinion as to what they may do for season 4. Now, as you notice with each one of these 3 seasons, it was basically 3 episodes about, a toy for a boy, and then that 1 episode about a popular girl's toy. So, regarding the girl's toy that they may do for season 4, I would say they'll probably do an episode about the Cabbage Patch Kids. Now, we all have that daughter, niece, sister, or cousin that had Cabbage Patch Kid dolls growing up. So if they didn't have 1 or 2, they had a whole collection on their beds or running around the house with them, but the Cabbage Patch Kids were one of the most popular girl toys of the 80s, and that toy had been around since 1982. So, that could be one of the episodes that they do for season 4. Now, another episode that they can do for season 4 would be Tonka trucks. Now, most of us know Tonka for the various trucks that we played with or grew up on as we were younger, and the company was founded in 1946. Now, with Tonka, there's more to them than just making toy trucks. That's all I remember growing up, with Tonka, the Tonka trucks. But the Tonka would be a good episode because, there's, like I said, there's more to them than just the trucks. There's also, they released various video games on various game platforms between 1996 and 2006. So there's more to Tonka than just the trucks. There's video games and even some toys that they release as well. So that would be another great episode to watch. Another episode they can do is on the DC Comics action figures as well as the Marvel Comics action figures. Now, that episode can actually be one episode, because when you think about the people that made the DC and Marvel action figures over the years, sometimes it was the same company, sometimes you had two different companies. Now, I can remember growing up in the 80s, Kenner released the DC Comics Superpower action figure line. So you had the various Justice League members such as Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, as well as their villains like Lex Luthor, Joker, Brainiac, Darkseid, just to name some of the figures that came out in that line. As well as Mattel also released some Marvel comic action figures during the mid-'80s as well for the Marvel Secret Wars toy line. So you had Marvel characters such as Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, and Doctor Doom, just to name a few of the figures that were released with them. As well as there was a company named Toy Biz that came along around the late 80s, and they released DC Comics action figures. As well as the 90s went on, they would be the driving force behind the action figure line for Marvel Comics, especially given the various Marvel Comics cartoons that came out during the 90s, such as X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Fantastic Four. So, that would be another good episode to watch, especially those of us that are action figure fans, especially of DC and Marvel comic action figures, And the other episode that I think they may do, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with this, Hot Wheels. Who did not have some Hot Wheel cars growing up? Who does not have that son, grandson, little cousin, little brother or nephew that's still playing with Hot Wheel cars, has their Hot Wheel case or Hot Wheel play sets or Hot Wheel collection still going? So Hot Wheels is one of those cars that, basically goes from one generation to another. So, Hot Wheels has been around since May of 1968. And again, it's one of those toys that has just gone from generation to generation. So one of those toys, you can just sit around and spend time with your children playing with as well. But like I said, with this series on Netflix, this is a great documentary series for, family to watch, even for those that, reminisce about toys from back in the day, even those that are avid toy collectors. I know I tried my hand at toy collecting one time when I was in college. Wasn't able to really keep up with it, like I wanted to. So to all of you that are toy collectors out there, I tip my hat to you, for being able to stick with toy collecting and having the collections that you see. And, that's one of the great things about this documentary series. At the end of the series, as they show their closing credits, they show off pictures of different fans of whether Star Wars, He-Man, Transformers, or Ninja Turtles. And, they show off pictures of those avid collectors who have big collections in their households, or, they may own a toy store and have a big collection of, these various toys that they talked about over the seasons. So, I'm hoping for season 4, maybe they'll talk about these 4 that I just talked about today, or who knows what they may have already lined up for season 4. So I'm hoping that they do another season 4. And if they are, I'm looking forward to it, just to, just that little nostalgia that comes from it, just taking a little trip down memory lane. So again, looking forward to season 4. I'm hoping and praying that they do make one. And, that's all the time I have for today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well as Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Walter Hefner. God bless you guys, and take care.